Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of the birth story video. So, I left off talking about, Lotus is sitting right here by the way. I tried to do this while she was napping, but I wasn't fast enough. So she's awake now and she's sitting right here. Are you sitting right there? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh, you keep it. I was talking about her Lotus birth and keeping the placenta attached, and it fell off 4 days later. And then we kept the placenta until she was about 3 weeks old, and then we got around to burying it, and we buried it outside on the farm near kind of where she was born, and we buried it with underneath a olive tree. And I chose an olive tree because I'm Italian and olive trees are well known in Italy for their olive oil. And also because, that's not the reason though, the real reason is because the olive tree symbolizes peace. And I thought maybe someday she might want to make olive oil with it. So that's why we chose the olive tree. And so I'm moving on now to the second part of that question. She said, would you have another Lotus birth? And if I had another child, I would definitely do another Lotus birth, because I think that it is like a really great way to stay in bed, stay connected to your child for the first few days of their life. And you know, they just came out of the womb, so you almost want to keep them in a womb-like environment. And so I felt like staying in bed with her for those days really kept her in that state. It was very peaceful. You know, she had her upset times like every baby does, not sleeping through the night and all that, but either way, I think that it was probably a beneficial experience for both of us. We didn't have any guests come over. Nobody else held her except for her father and I. And so it was kind of, I think, just, especially being first-time parents, also, it was just like a great way for the three of us to bond and kind of learn what it was going to take to survive those first few days. And it's just, to me, the Lotus birth is the most gentle way to welcome a baby earthside. And there's partial, I don't know what they call it, half Lotus births, where you just cut the cord like a day or two later after it's dried up. But we didn't even have proper scissors. We didn't really want to bother with any of that. We had nowhere to go or nothing to do, so we just let it stay attached until it fell off on its own. And so, yeah, I think the Lotus birth is a really awesome option. And then Naturally Alien asked, how has becoming parents affected your relationship with your partner? And this is a good question to ask, I believe, because as much as you try to be prepared as new-time parents, it does affect your relationship in ways that you don't expect. That's my experience and what I've heard from other women. And every couple is different too. I'm lucky that I have a really supportive partner who knows that it's taking me a lot physically and emotionally this first year to take care of her. And so he doesn't pressure me to, do anything or be a certain way. He knows that life is different now and that, we don't have the same relationship that we did when it was just the two of us. But it's kind of fun because you're parents now and it's a really fun endeavor to be on. And then when you do find those moments together, when baby is napping or playing with grandparents, and you just have like even just an hour, not even an hour, 15 minutes to just the two of you. Sometimes for us, it's in the morning, when Lotus wakes up first. And then since we're living with my mom right now, oftentimes Lotus will go play with my mom for a little bit before my mom goes to work. And so those 15 minutes Austin and I have together in bed, we just cuddle and talk about things, and it's kind of a precious time, and we don't take it for granted. like we might have in the past, before Lotus was around. So yeah, my advice is that, it's hard. Like, there's no doubt that it can be hard on a relationship having a baby, multiple babies. Honestly, I can't even imagine having more than one right now, because it's just she's so time consuming in a good way. But I don't know how couples find time to be together with multiple children. Anyway, it's hard is basically what I would definitely say. Truthfully, is it can be hard, but it's worth it, and it changes your relationship, but in the most positive way, because you're parents now, and it's like awesome. You're just sharing this experience together, and Austin was there for the birth, so when you have a partner that was there for the birth, oftentimes he takes on the dad role in a really awesome way. Like, I just feel like since he was there to receive her. So here's an example. He's so funny. Like, whenever anybody talks to him about birth, or if he sees a pregnant woman that comes into his work and he's talking to her, and he has all this like knowledge, firsthand experience of birth, and so he talks about birth. He's not afraid to talk about birth and everything that it entails, and just the whole experience he's comfortable with. And anyway, I think that's super cute, and I'm proud of him for being, that open like that, So yeah, I don't know if I have much else to say about the relationship after parenthood. It's different, but it's worth it. It's definitely trying sometimes. And it puts a lot of more pressure than we've ever had in terms of finances. My partner is working harder than he ever has to get us into a home, and so there's definitely stress and pressure that comes with that. And before we had Lotus, we were just living in a tiny house on my father-in-law's property, so there wasn't many bills, and we were living that kind of stress-free lifestyle. And having a child, we could have stayed there and kept doing that, but we felt a really strong calling to move and change, and almost out of our control in a way, because our destiny is leading us to this position. And so yeah, we are looking for a house in California, and that can be really, really hard to do and expensive. So he's working really hard to get us where we want to be. And so for that reason, I appreciate him a lot. And I try to be the best teammate that I can be in our relationship, and be there for him when he needs me emotionally and physically. And, we're still gardening together, which is something we've always done that's bonded us. And we like to spend time together outside. And, we are planning a camping trip. We want to take Lo camping, and things that we always did as a couple now with Lotus. And before Lotus was born, that was part of our whole desire to have a child. Is everything we did, we were like, oh, this would be so fun if we had a child to share this with. Like, when we have a child someday, I want to go camping with them, and take them on hikes and garden and learn how to grow our own food and cook. We can't wait to have Lotus in the kitchen with us. My partner and I are big into cooking together. Like, that's been, since the beginning of our relationship, our favorite thing to do together is cook. So we're always in the kitchen together, and Lotus is just now really into being in the kitchen with us. So even though it's dangerous to be in the kitchen at this age, we definitely like to try to wear her while cooking, or have her in the high chair so that she can just see what we're doing and smell all the smells and hear all the sounds. And she's used to the blender going, and she does a little dance when the blender's going, like the blender dance, I don't know. And so yeah, all the things that we love to do as a couple, we now do with Lotus, and that's just so special. We just love sharing those moments with her. And so I think that's part of why having a child increases your relationship, like, to the next level of love and understanding and patience, and as mother and father, you have different roles to play